Welcome to episode 38 of not the mainly wrestling show, the mainly golf show. Pep doesn't know anything about wrestling.
I know less about
Doesn't know
golf.
doesn't know a lot about golf here, but we're here with one half of the Sticky Bandits to look at the preview of the Mexico Open. It's also the magical Kenya Open.
Best
That's a bit of a
weekend in
guess.
golf of
That's
the
a bit of a
year.
guess. Windy, windy on the DP World Tour, and it's a bomber's paradise down south of the border. Hep, you have followed this tournament a few years, and your kind of tournament, right? Because you've always just said, back the Bombers, baby.
Yeah, it's long but at high altitude, uh, big wide fairways, nothing. A bit of a resort course. It's not the rough is going to be nowhere near what it was at Torrey last week. Uh, yeah, it's a pretty simple one. Just go for the big hitters and probably at longer odds because it's a bit of a scrub field with Batia leading the way and Rasmus making the lowest odds. And yeah, I mean, you've got to say the people in like the 25 range they're no real different to the people in the 50 to 60 range of the odds. So definitely taking some longer shots down the board this week. And yeah, just focus on driving distance.
You and I both been a big fan of Rasmus Hoojgaard. He's the, I think, 1681 favorite this week in Mexico. Big difference winning on the DP World Tour and winning on the PGA Tour. So I'd be against it myself. Ashley Batia somehow managed to fend off Denny McCarthy. Around this time last year in a lesser event, McCarthy, I think, birdied six in a row, did to make it to a playoff and then
Oh
lost the first
yeah, that
hole.
was insane. That was like nearly as good as McNeely's run this on Sunday. I
Well,
think that
mention
was
that
what was it 9 in 13 birdies? Like that's just
he
insane.
was
Like
he was 8 under after 11, yeah, and he cooled down. He made a big pass there at 16, having laid up at the fairway, and then got it to about 12 foot, then a big left to right putt. You've been a big fan of Ludwig Aberg for the best part of 18 months. I remember thinking,
dude,
I have no idea where you found this guy from. Tell us what makes him so great because he showed unbelievable clutch to birdie 16 and 18 to win by one.
well, he needed to show a bit of cojones on the Sunday because that's sort of what's let him down a bit. He's not kicked on when he did in contention in the big events. So he did win, I think, the RSM last year, which is no, obviously
That
good
was
to
a
win
birdie
a
fest.
tournament,
Yeah.
but it's not the same as the signature event at Tory. He just hits it 325 yards dead straight every time. He's so good with his irons as well, and like one of the good things, that you want to root for him because he's just good to watch because he just hits it fast. There's none of this pissing around, none of this taking a minute
He's
to
not
hit
like
a
Tom
good
Kim.
shot. No, he goes right. What's my number? Not even a practice swing, and just fucking hits it, and then just he's so dialed and just accurate, and then long as well. So that he's going to win a lot on tour. That's not breaking news to anybody. I think he's gonna have a very long, very successful career.
I think he's into. I might think is he top 10 in the world now? Did he break into? I think he's up to ninth
Oh,
or
I think
tenth
he
after
was.
winning last week. How
Because he
how
mentioned, yeah, sorry.
how how likely is he to be challenging? In my head, there's a top three of Scotty's obviously in a different parish at the minute, and then there's McIlroy and Schauffele, and then you argue there's likes of Bryson and Cantlay and 6, 7 players underneath him. But how likely is he to then move and challenging the big boys at the top table? Because
I mean,
he's got the game right. He drives it a mile off the tee. He's very accurate. His
yeah.
irons are great. What's letting him down? Is it a short game?
So far, yeah, it's a bit short game and a bit of
Strokes game.
God, it is on the Sunday. I mean, he came second at the Masters on debut last year, and like I don't know how much these golfers need to play these courses and get a little bit of knowledge about the course, or if they're
Yeah.
just so good that doesn't really matter, and they've got simulators and all of this lot, and if they really wanted to study. But last year was his rookie season. He hasn't played a lot of these courses before. Now he's coming around the second time. Obviously, Tory he played 2 weeks ago, and now he's gone and won it, played it for the third time. Um, but yeah, short game was always. Uh, you don't want to compare him to Victor just because they're both Scandies, but his short game was the letdown, and yeah, delivering in a big moment. But I wouldn't be surprised if he won 3 times on tour this year.
He's got one in the
And
bank already. You think he'd play a lot more?
yeah, and I could see it easily becoming a big four. Maybe not kicking Xander or Rory out of the top 3, but could definitely see them being considered. I think on Sunday they were in contention, and they mentioned that he was higher ranked than Cantley already.
Cantley's dropped, I think,
Yeah,
13. He's had a very poor 12 months after winning
yeah.
the
There's
FedEx
a
Cup
few
2 years.
people that haven't won in a long time, like JT and Colin, and Cantley may have won last year. Thinking about it, but
I think Cantley and Xander were favourite for the pairs in New Orleans and disappointed. I think they were leading after
yeah, they're
36 holes
normally.
and they're very short. And you think there's Brooks, there's Bryson, there's Hideki Matsuyama, already a winner on. Um,
Yeah, but if you look at,
you forget about Hideki.
you do forget about Hideki.
My bank manager doesn't. Jesus Christ, that's an awkward conversation. That's a very inside joke for all 4 viewers out there. Anyway, Ludwig aside, this week you mentioned long shots. Who's caught your eye? Because we were looking at some stats earlier, and if you do like people who are going to hit it a mile and strokes gained off the tee, there is plenty of value. Number one, for example, is it Kevin Roy? He's also one of the longest on tour.
Yeah.
And then you look at Rico Hoey, Alejandro Tosti.
Yeah, if you look at like last year, like Knapp beat Valimaki, and then previous to that, Finau beat Rahm, and then before that, Rahm beat Finau. Like, okay, Finau and Rahm are, definitely John Rahm are a different class compared to these. But just looking at last year's top 2, you got Knapp and Valimaki. So it's all about that driver. I don't mind Knapp at 33s, to be honest. Again, for a repeat winner, played pretty decent. Was it Pebble? I think he was up there.
I think so. He went really off the ball, though, didn't he, after winning this? He was a big prize when he won here last year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was his first win after a few contentions, wasn't
Yeah.
it? But yeah, it would have been a
I think
decent.
he won a few times on the Corn Ferry and then moved across.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, the first one I'm going to tip up is Nikolai Hoojgaard at 40s. Another big hitting European Ryder Cup pedigree. I don't think he should be at 40s in this field. He should probably, maybe isn't having the best time at the moment, but I think you should expect him to be in the 20 to 1 range rather than the 40s. So yeah, my first pick's going to be Nikolai at 40 to 1, 2.5 each way on him.
you find it's very hard to weigh up him and Rasmus when they're playing at the same time because Nikolai was always seen as almost the better player. He got the nod for the Ryder Cup, 18 months ago now. But Rasmus, I think, he's won more times on tour. Admittedly, Nikolai moved to America sooner. But then Nikolai's double the price of Rasmus this week. It's a tricky one.
And I don't know much about Rasmus. I mean, I'm sort of biased towards Nikolai just because of the Ryder Cup, and I've seen him a bit more on the PGA. But I assume he's just as hard hitting as his brother.
I think Nikolai's got a bit of better cost management. Rasmus is very. What did they say about the quarterbacks, right? If this guy, he's going to go for things. I remember Brett Favre was always described as a gunslinger. Rasmus is one of these that's just going to go for it, even if it's perhaps not the best. Like we always say about Scotty, right? If it's potentially a tricky shot, he's going to give himself 50 feet and 2 putt and try and get par rather than going for a tight green and potentially leave himself short sided. Rasmus is still quite inexperienced in terms of that side of his game. They're both obviously excellent, but I wouldn't be surprised if both got on the Ryder Cup side for Europe this year. I mean, you think it's very tight as well. I think 4 of the last 5 winners on tour have been European. If you think this Aberg and Straka and Rory. Has Rory won this year?
Yeah, Rory won at Pebble, didn't he?
Of course he did. And then, so who am I missing? Not Victor. Rose's played
Uh,
well.
who won Phoenix? Oh, yeah. I can't remember. My memory's so bad for these.
Andrew Coulthard put a post like 4 of the last 5 winners on tour have been Europeans, and then you think Bob McIntyre, Shane Lowry, it's going to really annoy me. Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick's in a very poor year, but he
Yeah.
might tee up this year. But in terms of give us about Aldrich Potier.
But they,
You've been hearing stories.
well, someone used him against me in fantasy on the last Bombers course. It was probably Tory Pines the first time round. And I've got no idea who this fucking kid is. But yeah, he was first round leader, I think, that day. And he's just smacks it a mile from what I've seen. Yeah, I think you know him a bit from the DP tour in South Africa.
Little Tubby Safa, yeah. Should have won the
But
Joburg Open last year.
yeah, you get him at 66s. He's coming a bit on 365 already. Yeah, people just targeting Bombers. I mean, might be a first round leader sort of play if he does it one day rather than all over the whole 4. But I mean, I'm not against it at all, especially with some further places, like 10, 12 places. You could definitely be up there if it's all down to the tee shot.
I messaged you in our group chat earlier about there's a guy called Stephen Fisk. And they replied back, well, who the fuck is Stephen Fisk?
Who the fuck is Stephen?
Georgia native. I think he's 27. Turned pro 5 years ago. Won on the Corn Ferry last year. Got his tour card. He is 10th on tour in terms of strokes gained off the tee, and he's also strokes gained, and he's also 26th longest on the PGA Tour. He's worth a bit of a dabble at 200 to 1.
220, yeah.
200, 225, so I think that's 5 places. 220 is 8 places. We'll do half a point each way on him, and then the two again. It's very tricky. We'll do 0.5 points each way on him, and 1.5 points each way on Kevin Roy, Rico Hoey, and Alejandro Tosti. Tosti is an interesting one because you see him like make 5 miscuts in a row, and then he's suddenly like tied to the lead or tied third at halfway of another random tournament. He played really well when Stephen Yeager won, when Scotty didn't at Houston last year.
We've wiped that from our memories, but
yeah, still brutal that. That one and done was ruined after that one last year. But the 3 of them, 1.5 points each way. The 3, the 80s, and 100s, and 0.5
is that 12 places?
I think that's 8 places. We'll take the better price than the lesser places, but that all 4 of those are in the top 30 on tour in terms of strokes gained off the tee and driving distance. So as Hep said, it's high altitude. Hey, when you say the term resort course, what do you mean?
It's just wide fairways, sort of quite easy going for professionals. It's not tree lined and the rough's not like what it was at Torrey. It's just sort of manicured. Looks really pretty. It's sort of like a Hawaii course. Yeah, exactly.
So basically, like, it's going to be one where it's going to be low scoring. They want birdies. They want lots of action. It's a shitty tournament, so you're going to need people to be making lots of scores and flying up leaderboards, so the cameras can kind of have a bit more interest.
My second pick is going to be from down around that range as well. I'm going back to Valimaki. I had him a couple of weeks ago. Didn't quite cash his top 12 places, but he did like lead after. Well, he was up there for round 1 again. So
did you tip him up for first round leader?
I did not. I think you mentioned it.
Not, did you?
But I didn't tip it up, no. And I don't think he actually cashed it, but with places he might have. So yeah, I'm going back to Valimaki with another 12 places at 90 to 1 in this field. He came second here last year. He might come dead fucking last this year. Who knows? It's Valimaki, but again, another bomber that you can get at longer odds.
Yeah, he's number one. He's got a real habit of like starting really fast. Um, he'd be one where I'd have a look at the first round leader market 3 or 4 times last year. He'd be, if not leading, he'd definitely up there after the first couple of rounds. So if you
We'll
do
have a
fancy
dabble.
Valimaki, yeah, I think he'd probably about 50, 66 first round leader, probably about 8 players. So that not a bad price at all. Are those your two picks locked in for the week?
Was my two and a half each way on both. Nikolai at 40s, 5 places, and Valimaki at 90s, 12 places.
It's really good fortune on the PGA Tour to
Are
continue.
you
I'm
dabbling
expecting.
in Kenya?
Absolutely not. Like the Kenya's just an absolute minefield. Jorge Campillo was a previous winner here. I think he shot final round £500 to win either 12 months ago or 2 years ago. But it's an awful minefield of a job if you're punting. Bit of money for Robinson Thompson, who's a very promising young player, but terrible course management. And whenever he gets any near contention, he makes some really poor errors. I wouldn't be surprised if he was back on the PGA Tour within, if not next season, the season after. But the fact that someone like a Joe Dean is 25 to 1, High Tong League played really, really well to win. I think in Malaysia, he's 25 to 1. He's not going to win again. Like,
Yeah, he used to be
Gauss
not good, but pretty steady PGA Tour player, didn't he? And he really fell off.
he fended off Rory to win a big tournament about 3, 4 years ago. I want to say it was in Dubai. I'm not quite sure about that, but he's really hit and miss. Like on the Saturday, he made 3 or 4 putts having walked as soon as he's hit. He's like walked off of the putt, thinking he missed any hope is a power putts as well. I mean, you think everything's running in his favour that week, so fair play to him, but he should not be. He shouldn't be fourth favourite. Sebastian Soderberg, given his history of messing up Thomas when in contention, he should not be 20 to 1 favourite. It's really wide open. If you're looking for something a bit of value, Darius Van Dreel's a form winner here. He's got a good record since the season began. He's probably too big around the 45 to 1 mark if you're looking for 12 places. And somebody like a Shubanka Sharma, who's got really good record in windy conditions, he's 75 to 1, 12 places, and then probably just take a punt at like a few players even bigger. Somebody like a Jacob Olsen, he's a young Danish lad on his cards, like a Robin Williams, another guy who's like in his early 20s, South African guy. He's wanting to get his full playing rights and exemptions. But if you're looking at the top of the leader, top of the market here, looking at some of these like grizzled old pros who were trying to win despite the fact they've been in contention like 25 times now. It's going to be for me. No offense to the likes of Andre Bavano, Callum Hill, or even a Burn Fiesberger, but no, we'll leave that well alone. Thank you. Mexico. We'll stick with that. And I know you've gone for the Europeans, but we'll stick with Kevin Roy, Rico Hoey, and the Argentine Alejandro Tosti. Bring home
The other European winner we were forgetting was Dietrich at the waste management.
Tom Dietrich, of course. I was going through the countries in my head, like Germany. There's no German golf players. There's Martin Keimer, France, Victor Perez. No. Give your 2 picks again, please.
Nikolai at 40s, Valimaki at 90s. Would just peak your bombers and stay away from the top one.
Hoojgaard, the more famous of the two twins, and the finish for the great man. We are finished. We are out of time, but fingers crossed for a bit of European glory in Mexico this week. I've been Jack Milner, and he's been Hep, and we'll see you very soon.
Bye, guys.